Hello, my name is Mark Gibson, and you're listening to the podcast version of the Teagasc Signpost Series, a weekly webinar that promotes and examines sustainability in Irish farming. Hello and good morning, and you're very welcome to this morning's Signpost webinar. We're coming to you from a rather breezy but dry west of Ireland this morning. Good morning, Catherine. How are you doing today?
Morning, Mark. How are things?
Catherine, you're going to be helping us out with questions later on, so thanks for joining us this morning. And we'll introduce our guests in a moment, but just to remind you that the Signpost series is brought to you by Teagasc Connected in association with Dairy Sustainability Ireland, the National Rural Network, and Food Drink Ireland SkillNet. So from time to time, we invite companies to the webinar to talk about their sustainability journey and why it's so important for them to pursue this journey. So this morning, we'll be hearing about the Keeling's Fruit Story, a family-run company that's almost 100 years old. And we're delighted to be joined by Des Ferris, who is Lead Director of Sustainability with Keeling's Fruit. Good morning, Des. How are you today?
Good morning, Mark. I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us today, Des. We're really looking forward to hearing about the work that you're doing in Keeling's to meet those sustainability targets. Perhaps, Des, you could just tell us a little bit about your own story and how you got involved in sustainability in Keeling's.
Well, I've been in the food industry probably over about 21, 22 years at this point in my life. I've been working with Keeling since 2015. Previously to that, I was managing director of a company called Nature's Best in Drogheda, which you may be familiar with. And I was in a technical function there as well. Over the years, I spent 14 and a half years there as well. So I have a real interest personally in sustainability. So as part of my function as technical facilities director here within Keeling's, I sort of put myself forward for it and said, listen, I'd like to lead this for the business and, and deliver on the business purpose, which is better food, better world. And we're going to be talking about that today.
I was very interested when I was looking up just the history of Keeling's, and you're probably going to cover some of this in your presentation, but is it 1926 since the company is in operation?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yes, it's a fairly significant time to be around.
We're on the third generation of the family business, and the family are highly involved in this organization. It's you have Caroline, who's the group CEO, you have David and William, and you have Father Joe, and obviously the mother as well in the background. So I'm delighted to be part of this organization. What I like about it is a family business, and family businesses always make decisions for the long term.
Yes, I think that's a fair thing to say. So Des, I'm going to hand over to you for your presentation, and we'll chat to you in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'll just take you through our journey on sustainability here at Keeling's. So Keeling's is 100% Irish owned. It's a third generation family business. And as Mark said, we were first established in 1926. And that's a picture of one of the original fields that they were harvesting our fruit in at that particular time. Within the business, Keeling's provides a range of services and expertise within fresh produce industry. So we're a growing business. We have our farms here locally and elsewhere, which I'll speak to you about in a minute. We obviously source product from all over the world. We have a sales function, we have a marketing function, distribution function, and then we have an ERP solutions function, which is our Keeling's knowledge business as well. In Keeling's, we have a number, these are the business units I'm just going to talk to you about at this point in time. So we work together as a one Keeling's team with 11 unique business units, sharing knowledge and expertise with our colleagues and partners across the units. So within that there, we have the retail business. So the retail business is the business I'm sitting in today. It serves predominantly the retail market here in Ireland, on the island of Ireland. We have a market business, which is I believe where the first market was took place in the city centre of Dublin. We have a flowers business that supplies flowers, prepared flowers to the retail business. We have a UK business, which is fruit and salads and veg. We have a business in Europe, Eurasia. We have a select business, which provides business food and services to the food service industry, hotels, restaurants, etc. We have a solutions business, which is our ERP solutions business. So the systems that all of our business units operate within Keelings is designed and maintained by our solutions business.
Des, you might just explain to us what ERP stands for, because I suspect you might be referring to it again in the presentation, just for viewers who aren't familiar.
So it's basically it's how you manage product. So the accounting system that manages product from our back doors to our front doors. So it's tracking and tracing the handling of product at every step in the process. That's ultimately what it does. Okay. Again, and that's hand in glove with our knowledge business. And then we have our farms. We have our farms here in Ireland, and we have our farms internationally abroad, which I'll take you through that in a slide or two in a moment. So obviously our headquarters is in Dublin. We have 13 offices and production sites around the world. So we have, I say, our head office in Dublin. We have in the UK, we have in the Netherlands, we have in Paris, France. We have our pineapple farms in Las Brisas in Costa Rica, our melon farms in Pura Vida in Costa Rica, and Belafonte in Brazil. So where are we today? Quite simply, today we farm over 2,000 acres, growing over 200 million strawberries, 16 million pineapples, and 8 million melons annually. We source from 46 countries and supply over 1,000 customers across 30 countries worldwide. And we employ over 2,700 employees from 58 nationalities across 7 different countries. So it's you know, sometimes when people ask me about Keelings, you know, it's at times, because of the size of the organization, it takes a while to explain it to them. But as you can see, we're a global business. So I'll just give you a sort of history wall of how we got where we are today. So in 1926, W.P. Keeling purchased 78 acres in St. Margaret's, County Dublin. In 1937 and 1945, we growing strawberries and rhubarb and apples. In 1973, we opened in Dublin in the wholesale market. In 1988, we entered the UK market. And then in 1995, Keeling's Flowers was established in County Dublin. In 1998, Keeling Solutions was established in County Dublin. And 2010, Keeling's launched our brand, which is the Love to Grow brand that you see out in the retail market at this point in time. In 2012, Keeling's Knowledge was established. In 2014-2020, international farms expansions in Pura Vida and Las Brisas in Costa Rica and Belafonte in Brazil. 2017, Keeling's Select was established in County Dublin. And then finally, in 2021, Better Food, Better World, Purpose, and New One Keeling's logo was launched across the business. So I was talking about our growing operations. So in 1926, I say we established our farms here in Ireland. We grow now over 4,900 tons of strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, apples, and cherries on 450 acres here in St. Margaret's in County Dublin. In 2014, we established Pura Vida. Pura Vida grows melons and watermelons on a 200-hectare farms, and we're the first Costa Rican melon farm to be accredited to Rainforest Alliance. In 2017, Belafonte was established, produces a wide variety of melons and watermelons on a 2,000-hectare farm in northeast of Brazil. And most recently, Las Brisas, which is based in Costa Rica, produces over 16 million pineapples a year on just over 1,000 hectares of farm, and has achieved an A rating for Rainforest Alliance as well. So our purpose as a team, we continue to strive to make food and what we all eat better through what we grow and the quality improvements and innovations we make and the stories that we tell. So we're all very aware here in Keelings of our impact on the world, both environmentally, socially, and are very consciously planning to positively manage our impact on the world in the present and consistently into the future. Now, our purpose, the logo that we established to help people identify with our purpose, has been carefully designed and crafted to represent our purpose. So the globe style logo represents our commitment to a better world. The colors of the logo represent soil, plants, water, and air, the key elements in growing of our food. And the Keeling's hands represents our care for the world and the food that we create in it. So our vision is that we inspire more people to enjoy fresh produce. Our mission is that we sustainably grow, source, and market quality produce by investing in our people, ways of working, insights, and partnerships. And Keeling's, we have values. Our values at Keeling's are people matter, teamwork, passion for achievement, and integrity. So with people matter, we support and treat each other in a clear and fair and respectful way. We all learn, develop, and encourage everyone to contribute. With regards to teamwork, is that we inspire and help each other to deliver our ambitions together as one Keeling's. When it comes to passion for achievement, we motivate ourselves and each other to achieve our ambitions with energy, knowledge, and courage. We're always striving to be better. And lastly, when it comes to integrity, is that we do the right thing and deliver on our commitments. And when Keeling's, we have 6 strategic priorities. We have better food, we make our products better and inspire more people to enjoy produce. Better world, which I'm here to speak about today, is that we'll improve our environmental and social impact to make a positive difference in our world. When it comes to people, is that we support our people to learn, be at their best, contribute and deliver on their commitments using one Keeling standards. When it comes to partnerships, working with Keeling's creates value and long-term relationships with our customers and suppliers. Better ways is every year we improve our competitiveness, efficiency, and deliver through insight, technology, and one Keeling's. And lastly, growth. We invest in and deliver insight-led, focused, profitable growth into the future. So as a snapshot, this is our future. So you have better food, better world, our purpose at the very top. Our vision is that we inspire more people to enjoy fresh produce. Our mission is that we sustainably grow, source, and market quality produce by investing in our people, ways of working, insights, and partnerships. Our values, as we've spoken about, is people matter, teamwork, integrity, and passion for achievement. And our 6 strategic priorities is better food, better world, people, partnerships, better ways, and growth. Excuse me. So within the business, we use this format to describe to our employees better world. So our purpose in better world is Keeling is committed to protecting our environment and supporting our people and communities to make a positive difference in the world. Now there's 5 pillars that drive better world: climate change, sourcing the materials, biodiversity, community health and nutrition, and people. And within each of these pillars, there are themes. So for climate change, it's greenhouse gas emissions, energy and logistics. For sourcing the materials, it's packaging, responsible sourcing, waste management, 3PL. For biodiversity is deforestation and ecosystems, farms management, pollinators, water and soil health. In community health and nutrition, it's about charity, community engagement, health and nutrition. And it's in people, it's about believe and belong and building one Keeling's. So when we look at our ambitions within each of those pillars, our ambition in climate change is for 50% reduction in our emissions, our operations emissions, by 2030. If you compare that to a science-based target that we will be setting, that is actually more aggressive than the science-based target requirements for that period of time. We are committed to a science-based target. We have written to science-based target initiatives, registered our commitment, and we are committed to setting that target in the next 12 months with them, including the decarbonisation program with suppliers. As part of that journey and towards net zero, we will assess carbon offsetting options. And finally, we have set ourselves an ambition to be net zero by 2040. When it comes to sourcing and materials, consumer packaging to be 100% recyclable by 2025, reduction of plastic intensity used in weight by 10% by 2025, and we want to be a leader in delivering sustainable packaging solutions across all of our operations. When it comes to biodiversity, all Keeling's farms to ensure that they're accredited to sustainable agricultural standards. And by 2022, Keeling's biodiversity policy and targets are to be in place, which I can confirm they are, which considers water, farms, management, soil health, pollinators, deforestations, and ecosystems. When it comes to community health and nutrition, we will invest a percentage of our net profits equally to achieve these objectives. We'll invest in research and innovation and communication to increase per capita consumption of fresh produce. We will increase accessibility to better food and support for the communities in which we operate in. And finally, when it comes to people, we'll support our people to learn and be at their best and contribute and deliver on their commitments using One Keeling standards. And all of that is underpinned by our governance and resource and reporting and stakeholders and communication systems and process that we have within the organization. And just a little update for 2021, Keeling's achieved a 24% reduction in our operation emissions. That's an absolute reduction in emissions against our baseline year, which was 2019. This is the year that we picked across our entire business. So if you think about it, a few moments ago, I spoke about a 50% reduction by 2030. We've made some headway in that by the end of 2021. We're also responders to CDP, and we currently stand at a B score with CDP, and say we are planning to be a B plus. We're actually about to submit by the end, I think it's by the 27th of July, we have to upload our information for the last 12 months, and we'll do that shortly. And we're trying to target a B plus and eventually an A.
Des, can you just explain to us what the CDP score relates to?
So your carbon disclosure project, which is what CDP is, so it's best practice when it comes to climate management. So it covers value chain engagement and their targets. It covers your scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. It talks about your risk management process and your risk disclosure and your opportunity disclosure. It talks about your governance within your organization, energy management, emission reduction initiatives, and business strategy and financial planning, making climate change an intimate part of what we do every day, and being able to demonstrate that through their systems and structures. When we respond back to them, they have a very, very detailed assessment, and then you get a score from that. So most newcomers would go into that at a D level and work their way up, and we responded in that in 2020. We went in at a D level, and last year we came in at a B. So we're jumping quite rapidly because of the commitments that we're making within our own organization and the progress that we're making. So it's best practice. And again, I spoke about the Science-Based Target Initiative. We committed to them in January 2022. They have confirmed that commitment. They give you 24 months to come back with your target setting. Our expectation is that we will do that at the end of this particular fiscal, ahead of the 24 months requirements, and we'll be on that journey also. Just want to give you something with regards to plastic reduction. Obviously, as a business, we want to do our best when it comes to consumer packaging. In 2022, I can tell you the retail business here in Ireland will remove 50 tons of plastic from our consumer packaging by the end of this calendar year. In addition to that, we'll reduce the gauge of our netting. That will remove an extra 1 ton of plastic. The hand wrap that wraps pallets, we'll also have reduced the gauge of that, and that's going to remove reduce, should I say, another 4 tons of plastic being used within the business. And then we've replaced low density polyethylene toppers for bumper boxes with now compostable material, and that's an extra ton. So within the retail business, we give you some insight. And again, across all of our businesses, this is going on. But I just thought, as this is to an audience here in Ireland, I'll let you know that we're over 50 tons of reduced to remove plastic within the organization in 2022, which is quite considerable. So when it comes to biodiversity, as part of our Better World pledge, Keeling's is committed to driving sustainability through a greener, cleaner, more environmentally responsible approach to production of our crops and the management of our farms and facilities across the globe. So to support this, the business has joined with several overreaching organizations and certification programs to validate our results. These include the All Ireland Pollinator Plan, for which Keeling's has been a part of since 2019, Origin Green, their SHAS program, Food Cloud, CDP, and there's many more that we could talk about. We're constantly seeking out other organizations to measure and improve our sustainability impact. And we are looking forward actually towards the Task Force on Nature-Related Financial Disclosure initiative to create a continuously improving framework to assess our biodiversity risks and opportunities. So after introducing our own wildflower meadows on the farms, we wanted to share our expertise in wildflowers and biodiversity with our customers and consumers. And in 2021, as you probably know, we launched our Keeling's Great Rewilding Initiative. Now, the initiative aims to protect bees and other pollinators by encouraging people to dedicate a zone within their garden to rewilding. As part of this program, we give away 100 million native wildflower seeds in 2021. And in 2022, we're committed to improving that and scattering 250 million seeds across Ireland. We've also provided seeds and information packs to 1,000 schools nationwide. And just to give you, within our own farms, pollinators and fruit go hand in glove, as they say, or hand in hand. And these are some photographs of our own farms where we've done that rewilding. And in some cases, we have a lot of these insect hotels about the place, just creating safe places for natural habitats within the farms here in Ireland and elsewhere. I'd like to talk to you a bit with something that's also dear to our heart: food waste. For many reasons, we know on average food waste is causing about 10% of the greenhouse gases emissions, but also, we support many different charitable organizations where people can actually get access to healthy, nutritious food due to no fault of their own, and largely due to affordability issues. And I want to give you a sense of the challenges the business has when it comes to managing waste across our own operations globally. And I've picked out three particular contributing factors that can impact waste. Climatic extremes is one, the old Goldilocks scenario whereby, it's porridge is too hot or too cold. And within growing produce globally around the world, the same thing applies. If it's too hot, there's problems. If it's too cold, there's problems. If it's too wet or too dry, there's also problems. And our partners and growers, including our own farms around the world, are continually looking at variety species to try and forecast what the future is going to look like and what those varieties would need to be in order to ensure that they have a crop that can be harvested when climatic extremes happen. But when they do happen, they produce significant challenges for both our growers and our own farms and growers globally. One of those challenges is with pests and diseases, and including, rots, molds, etc., etc. The other challenge we have with that happened through Brexit and obviously through COVID, through the lack of people being available to deliver and drive Arctic trucks, and strikes at ports, is delays at ports. Our products, if you take, fresh produce has to grow where the sun is. So in the winter, it's impossible to grow, for example, strawberries here. For the vast majority of it, you can't extend seasons either side by growing in glass and so forth. But for the vast majority of it, it's hugely difficult and not impossible. So you go where the sun is. So if I give you an example of a strawberry coming from Spain, the south of Spain, and it takes possibly 3 days to get here on truck. That strawberry, when it comes here, will have a predefined shelf life based on the growing conditions in which and the harvesting conditions. And for example, if it has 4 or 5 days of life upon arrival, if it gets delayed in ports for whatever reason, then the shelf life of that product, the time you have to use that product is massively reduced. And given the volume that we supply globally and here in Ireland, locally here in Ireland, that can create a lot of waste if there's delays. Equally, with regards to diseases, you could have progressive diseases caused by climatic extremes. And they may not be visible to the eye when that product is being harvested and being put onto a truck, but by the time it gets here, it could be quite visible. And again, these are stuff that causes waste for us within the business. Now we have systems and processes and people at source managing all of this, and people here managing all of this, but it is in modern days with the climatic extremes we're seeing globally, it is a huge challenge for us. And that's something that we are, I suppose, managing on a daily basis. So when you're looking at a waste reduction plan, and there's a difference between surplus food and waste. And therefore, when you're looking at a waste reduction plan, it's about defining a baseline year. You have to pick a year, and we in Keeling's picked our, along with our Better World year of 2019, we picked the same for our waste. So it all ties together. So we define the baseline year, and I would encourage people who maybe are not looking at waste at the level that they should do or would like to, I say pick a year, and within that year, scope your operations and quantify the tonnage of food and associated inedible parts, because we have. And then express food waste as a percentage of the product's ingredients handled by your business. That's what we have done. Separately quantify the tonnage of food sent to redistribution centres, charity, animal feeds, etc. And describe the scope as we have, and method used, and the verification of that data is really, really important. So within Keeling's, when we're managing food waste, that's some of the things that we've done. And key actions is that we make food waste a priority every single day. We work with customers and growers to provide greater understanding of challenges and adjust as required. And we amend transport routes to avoid port delays, and also to avoid the possibility of containers being compromised. We look at variety selection improvement to maximize Class 1 product. And where climatic extremes have produced products with some sort of misshapes that would be classed as Class 2, then we work with customers to maximize those sales so they don't go to the ground. And we work with local charities to provide access to quality produce. In 2021, we provided in excess of 500,000 portions of fruit and veg across all our to the communities across all our business units. And recently, we've tied up with one of our customers, Tesco, in the Stronger Starts program, where we're aiming to provide the ingredients that will produce over the next 12 months 1 million meals to those families and children in need. And we engage with local farmers so that residual surplus foods can be reused as animal feed. And lastly, just one second. Lastly, I just want to give you an insight of what we're doing to educate our people. In 2022, we devised a training program to help champion our Better World, Better Food, Better World purpose. And this goes to every single employee has access to this and will be trained in these levels. So the program is to build our internal capabilities to deliver our Better World program. Build a team of leaders and champions to manage and deliver and evolve our Better World program. Build a stronger base of awareness and understanding of Better World program across the business. And position Keelings to be able to measure and implement and deliver Better World targets. And I've given some examples of climate, biodiversity, plastic packaging, etc., etc. Enable the team with the appropriate frameworks and tools for effective implementation. And it takes a team to successfully communicate and motivate and engage with employees, suppliers, customers, and other stakeholders to deliver on the Better World program and to deliver on sustainability, performance, and value for the business. So within that program, there's three levels. There's a Better World for All, and all Keeling's employees will go through Better World for All. It's a multimedia content, employee handbook, e-learning programs, performance metrics, and regular events across our business. And within that, there'd be an integral part of the employee induction program. There'd be a self-learning short program for all. We'll build into employees' development programs of performing metrics and KPIs and Better World. There'll be two-way mechanisms for employees' feedback and interaction, and it'll cover things such as our policy targets, etc., etc. Then we're going to have Better World leaders within the business, executive level, a business unit management there, and leads across. So we have leads and coaches across the business units. And within that we facilitate in-person leadership, sustainability development, learning programs on key topics linked to achieving our strategic Better World goals. So we'll train leaders to be able to address measurement, implementation, communication, engagement, and reporting. Topics such as climate and carbon, biodiversity, circular economy, materials, regulation, and communications. And lastly, we'll have Better World champions, and those Better World champions will go on SkillNet postgrad certificate programs and courses. And again, covering broad sectorial topics on sustainability in food and drink and manufacturing. So we are investing in our people to help us deliver on our ambitions for sustainability and Better World. And that's it from me in terms of presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions from you at this point in time, and I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Des, and really enjoyed your presentation. Lots of easy to digest graphics there, so appreciate that. Des, I mean, we lots of questions coming in here, and we'll get to those in a moment. And please do keep sending us your questions if you have a question you'd like us to put to Des. In terms of the main challenges for the fruit sector, I mean, you've outlined, the disease aspect and the transport side of things. Around the carbon labeling and climate change side of things, what direction do you see that headed over the next number of years? Is that something that Keelings has considered, a carbon label, or to actually communicate that the level of ambition, or indeed the actual footprint of the product that you're using?
It's interesting because there's been we're working with our own corporate communications team now. We're going to be updating our website. We're going to be updating our comms externally outside the business. And labeling is one of those areas that we're having a conversation on. There has been attempts across Europe and different countries to come up with something that may be understood. And I think from Keeling's perspective, I think it's something that we can contribute to, but I think it would be something that we'll want to be taken up as a national thing rather than just a Keeling's led thing, because I think we want everybody to be telling us, not just Keeling's, about what they're doing on climate, So we will not be found wanting contributing to all of these conversations and coming up with something, but it should be a national thing rather than just a Keeling's thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I mean it has to be supported by a standard, we'll say, or an international standard. Now, you talked about having, sourcing food or fruit from 46 different countries. How do you manage that, or how do you ensure that each the farms that are across those 46 countries are adhering to the objectives or the standards that you've set out this morning?
Well, there's a number of ways that happens. It happens in partnership with our retail customers and the farms themselves. So within Keelings, we have our own responsible sourcing program. Within that, we bearing in mind we're third generation family business, and a lot of those farms have been with us for that period of time also. So we work with our growers on the ground, looking to implement what would be commonly known as a standard. So we have BRC, for example, for packing operations, British Retail Consortium Standards, which is a globally recognized standard. We have global gaps for the management of their farms and pesticide use. There's ethical standards out there as well, such as SEDEX and SEMETA audits. And we continually work with them to ensure, first and foremost, that their practices are in line with those standards, because you have to start with standards. Then we have teams across our own business units here whose job is to monitor and work with our growers and work on specification requirements. So come up with the raw material specifications that would look at the variety, the intrinsic quality of that product. So whether it's taste profile, whether it's color profile, whether it's defect profile. Mm-hmm. And we have people at source, people at here, and with our supply chain partners, including our commercial teams, our sales and marketing teams, and our customers, we develop programs with our growers that ensures them of volume, ensures us of certainty, and we deal with all the climatic challenges and port challenges in between. So it is partnership in its fullest, and it can't be done without partnership.
There's a concern at the moment as food prices are heading upwards with the obvious drivers from the Ukraine invasion and the cost of energy, that consumer is going to be looking for for you to maintain your prices and not to be increasing your prices. And of course, the primary producer is getting very concerned about that they're going to be the ones that squeezed as a result of this inflation, and that pressure will be passed back to the primary producer. And I appreciate that you're also primary producers, but how do you intend to maintain that pillar of sustainability within within Keelings?
In terms of under the pressure of costs?
In terms of the margins that your primary producers will ultimately be getting to maintain a fair price for the primary producer?
At the end of the day, there is significant inflation. Everybody knows about it. And that inflation does have to be passed on. If it's not passed on, people will go out of business. And therefore, there will be no food to talk about. So inflation, by its very nature, it has to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. And whilst businesses such as ours try to absorb as much as possible, there comes a point where you can't absorb. And unfortunately, just the way life is, it does have to be passed on. Mm-hmm. And we work with our customers to do that in a manner that's meaningful for all within the supply chain. And within that, managing sustainability and delivering on our commitments is just a prerequisite. It has to be done. So it's not subject to something else. It's something that just has to be delivered upon. Mm-hmm. So we manage that within the budget constraints that we have been given in any particular year or over any particular period of time frame. Okay. But inflation is real, and everybody strives to offset it across the supply chains, whether it's in fresh produce, whether it's in frozen, it's the same for all. But unfortunately, there's parts of that inflation where it's just not sustainable, that you cannot absorb. And unfortunately, we live in the real world where consumers are going to have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a fair response. Catherine, we better get to the questions. Lots of interest here in Des's presentation. You know, the transportation of food from Spain. We know that the Spanish, from talking to farmers there, that they're coming under pressure from a water perspective, and that you know, irrigation is commonplace there for most production systems over there. You know, how sustainable do you see us transporting fruit from across the world to Ireland in these areas of the world that are becoming increasingly impacted by climate change?
That's a good question, Mark. If I just talk about Keelings for a moment, like, you know, as I said, we have farms in Costa Rica and Brazil. We're equally challenged as Spain is. And I think technology, you know, if you look back 10 years and you say, God, we made huge, significant jumps in technology in the last 10 years, even 15 years. And over the next 15 years, we're going to have even greater jumps in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think time is our friend in this one as well, that technology will allow us to produce fresh produce in more sustainable way over time. And there is a lot going on with scientific institutions, with manufacturers of certain technology that is looking at that for the future. And what our farms, which I don't sit within the farms business, they have a very significant investment program at looking at the future to say, well, how do we do this given the probability of where the impact of weather is going to have on resources such as water.
Okay, thanks, Des. Catherine, are you back with us?
Okay, sorry, I had the button on my speaker hit.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks, Des. It's lovely to hear about sustainability from an Irish company that we're proud of and really want to be proud of. Just an interesting question there about packaging, regarding packaging and product shelf life. How challenging are you finding the shift to sustainable packaging and away from the traditional plastic packaging? For example, is it impacting shelf life? And are you finding you have to change certain agronomic harvesting and processing practices to suit new packaging?
That's a brilliant question. And we've done lots of trials on various types of sustainable packaging here. And we're actually in the middle of one at the moment. So we are as well. We have a program, a pipeline of sustainable packaging initiatives going on. If you look at something like compostable packaging, or if you look at something such as even board, paper, our trials are showing is that it's a prerequisite that you don't solve one problem and create another. Yeah, it's really important that we don't solve or contribute to resolving a plastic issue and then create a huge waste issue. So we're mindful that anything that we launch to market will not create another issue for us down the track. When it comes to shelf life, we're not seeing any significant difference at this point in time within our trials with the packaging that we are looking at this point in time that is alternative to plastic. What the challenge is actually how it's more to do with an operational challenge rather than a shelf life challenge. So if you have 20 odd lines producing our plastic punnets at the moment, and you want to convert that into a paper punnet, it's a reconfiguration of your operations. It's a reconfiguration how that product comes into you, how that product is assembled, how you treat, because paper, if it gets wet, for example, if it's the wrong type of format or structure of paper, if it gets wet, can obviously fall apart and create all sorts of challenges. You know, if you're going to pick something, you're going to harvest something into a punnet, a plastic punnet, versus harvest something into I'm just using this as an example, a paper punnet, there's lots of challenges operationally with that. So shelf life is a prerequisite. We don't want to create another issue. So anything that we will launch to the market will ensure that the shelf life is not compromised. The challenge is the operational challenges associated with that.
Okay, thanks. Now, Des, I hear it and get it that you talk about the family company making decisions for the long term. And personally, I totally understand the challenges and keeping up to date with the changing targets, you know, and especially in the scientific area. But there's so many questions coming in about your great rewilding project. And going back to, again, not causing one problem by, you know, solving another and causing another one. Just a couple of questions are, what species of bees are targeted within the action of the great rewilding?
I will have to come back to you on that one. That would be a question for our farms managing director. I don't have that answer there. Apologies for that.
As I said, I can empathize because there's been a lot of confusion over this, but I mean, again, all the a number of coming in really questioning the wildflowers, you know, disconnected from the basic principles of plant geography, subverts plant ecology, distorts biogeographical evidence, alters.
If I could just say this about the initiative. So we know within our own farms that the wildflowers that we plant here in North County Dublin has made a tremendous difference to the quality of our fruit. That's a fact.
I get that.
That's a fact, yeah.
I get that.
And our customers who communicate through us through all sorts of means also have an interest in doing something within the realms of their own gardens, and are excited about doing something. So
yeah, again, I totally,
you know, so from our perspective, we feel it's better doing something to help our customers deliver on their ambitions and contribute to biodiversity. And you know, if there was an abundance of area specific wildflower seeds that each of the customers could go to area specific, that's something that we may look at in the future. But right now, what we're looking at is wildflower seeds that are native to Ireland and that can help our customers think more about biodiversity and in some way contribute to biodiversity within the island of Ireland. And that's what the initiative is trying to do.
And again, Des, I totally get that because that's the road I've been on for a number of years. But I think there's just a couple of things, because it appears the expert opinion now is that it's not good. And the pollinator plan, you did mention you were involved in that. The pollinator plan message is don't sow, let it grow. And I suppose from the comments coming in, the issue seems to be that it's not valuing the local weeds or whatever that are there. So look, it's just an issue. I think, you know, it's evolving all the time. I think it's an issue that needs to be considered. Or from the comments coming in there, I can read 10 more of them there, but it's just a general principle.
I think, Catherine, that I would say is, I'll take your comments back. We have our own experts also.
Yeah.
And I guarantee if I put two experts on any matter into a room, you'll have two different opinions of what comes out there, as there is on many different subjects on sustainability. And you know, we'll take our comments back and I'll feed it back to our own experts. That's all I can do at this point in time for you.
I welcome that.
And I appreciate, but we feel that our customers can now help contribute, and they've asked for, you know, they want to do this, and it's evident within the requests that we're getting for the wildflowers.
Yeah, but again, listen, we'll probably leave it there. I just can read a number of questions coming back to that one. It's a lot of comments. Mark, you may summarize them better just to make sure we get the comments back.
Yeah, but, no, there's definitely.
Moving on to another question, Des. Sustainable production of food mean it's organic and pesticide free?
Does it mean it's organic and pesticide free? Well, we do organics. And we do. And the reality is the use of pesticides are getting less and less and less and less every single year. And that's just the reality of it. And therefore, we operate other methods to deal with that. But just over time, that's going to be reduced, you know.
There's a topic there, Des, that's coming through in a number of questions in relation to the use of peat by Keelings, given the restrictions that are in place now with the use of harvesting peat in Ireland. What are your plans around that to adapt to that?
We use coconut coir, so we do, which is sustainable means for our plants. That's what we use.
Very good. Well, that's a fairly straightforward response there.
Just another question back on the again I get it that the production is increased by the pollinators. Are your pollinators imported? Do you import bees?
Again, that's a question I'll take back to our farms managing director.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have any questions like that, I'm happy to take them back to our farms and get a more precise answer. I wouldn't want to answer something that
absolutely totally.
I say I don't sit on the farms.
How has reducing food waste contributed to how has reducing food waste contributed to profit margins or affected them negatively?
How's food waste contribute to improving profit margins?
Does it help or does it?
So it's really your definition of waste. So when you look, we're responders to the Initiative Champions, I think it's 12.3, which defines what waste is. So surplus food is not defined as waste. So surplus food that we go to, say, animal feed would not be considered waste. And the vast majority of our surplus food that's not fit for humans to eat for whatever reason would go to, and I don't mean that there's something particularly bad with it. I just mean it's, you know, if they're squashed or something like that, you know, people won't see it appetizing. Goes to animal feed. So it's not a profit margin initiative. Is to ensure that you are, if you have surplus food, where that can go in a sustainable manner, and we will have surplus food. We'll always have surplus food. So it's not a profit issue. It was never done for that reason.
A question there: what types of energy demand does the business have? Heat and electricity, and what renewable options are you considering?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. In terms of energy demands, so we as a business, the vast majority of our, 50% of our energy will be on refrigeration of product. Product has to be refrigerated. And we are currently in the process we have an energy consultant. We submit our energy report every 5 years. And we have an energy consultant looking at it at the moment. And we are looking at alternatives at this point in time. Solar PV is one of those. You know, here in retail, we've approximately around about 200,000 square feet of roofs that our production that the packing facility sits underneath, and we're looking at solar as one of those options. Now, there's huge challenges with that. When you're looking at it, the challenge comes about whereby if you're building a building from scratch, you can design it to put solar on top of it. If you have a building here that's 20 years old or 30 years old, you then have to assess whether that building can hold solar panels. And not just the panels, what happens if it snows? You have to ensure that it holds that weight as well. And there's also challenges. We're right beside Dublin Airport. Yeah, so, there's a glint and glare study to be considered when you're actually looking at all of this stuff. So there's so many different variables to consider when you're and we do within our project. So that's one good example actually, that's currently live at this point in time. But we have a lot of initiatives within the business that reduces energy. We've all LED lighting throughout the organization. We have sensor switches throughout the organization. So if you leave a room and nobody else is in it, it'll knock itself off. We are looking at our heat pumps that use for heating water and replacing them with more sustainable sources. We're looking at our management systems and upgrades to our current refrigeration to ensure they're the most efficient as possible. We're obviously training our people to make them aware. So if they leave a machine, it's knocked off when at the end of the evening, and so forth and so forth. There's lots of initiatives going on within the organization to help reduce, because when we are looking at our operation emissions reduction target for 2030 and net zero by 2040, you have to go down through the funnel. You know, you have to get to a set of residual emissions that are acceptable, and that's the journey we're on at this point in time.
Des, we have an interesting question there just come in relation to carbon offsetting, and just wondering what sort of offsetting options are you looking at in terms of, you know, to get to that carbon neutral position by 2040?
It's an interesting one. Ultimately, the one you have to look at is removal. There's many different offsets out there, gold standard offsets, but when you're looking at net zero by 2040, the only thing you can look at is removal offsets, which would be the likes of planting trees with an organization that does that as our primary business. And that will be the one. So now we've looked at other stuff as well here in Ireland. And the question is, when is the right time to do that? Right now, we're focused on reducing as much as possible on that journey. And when we get to a point where we feel that we can't do it anymore, that's the point where we then say, okay, now's the time to do the net zero piece and look at the use of offsets at that point in time. But it's and offsets are continuously changing. The cost of offsets are changing, the availability of offsets are changing. But right now, our focus is reduce and decarbonization of our supply chain and reduce our operational emissions. That's where our focus is at this point in time. Okay,
Des, we're just up on time. I don't know where that hour went, but really appreciate your honesty. I suppose it's not an easy thing to stand out and put your head above the parapet and say, look, this is what we're doing. So we do applaud you for that, and we want to wish you well in the next 50 to 100 years and that journey. It's a challenge for us all, but look, I think you're making all the right moves, and I think businesses have a lot to learn from the work that you have done so far. So we do appreciate you coming along today. Catherine, thank you so much for your help with the questions. And just to let you know that next week we'll be speaking to Eamon Meskel, who's the regional manager with National Parks and Wildlife Southern Division, who's going to be talking about the white-tailed sea eagle reintroduction to Ireland project. And so we'll have a number of weeks where we'll be focusing on biodiversity type topics. Catherine, you've been instrumental in organizing some of those, so we do look forward to those coming up. And to thank Yvonne Maher for helping with this morning, Andy Boland, who's the series producer, and we want to wish you a lovely weekend, and we will see you again at 9:30 next Friday. So Des, thanks again. And
you're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. You've been listening to the podcast version of the Teagasc Signpost Series, the weekly webinar that promotes and examines sustainability in Irish farming. Don't forget to join us live every Friday morning for our latest webinar. For more, visit teagasc.ie. And you can also rate, review, and subscribe to the Signpost Series on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Mark Gibson, and thanks for listening.